for those who don't know what's happening, so my birthday is on the 6th of January, and from that day I'm starting a 1-year Rocket League challenge, and I'm stripping down everything. I'm pretty much going back to the beginning. I've played this game for 8 years. 4 of those years I played without any training. I just played. In fact, I was on default binds. I didn't do it. Occasionally, I'd do a bit of messing around in free play. I'd occasionally watch a video. But I have so many baked-in bad habits that are kind of holding me back now, that I want to strip it back all the way to the beginning. So I'm going to start with, I want to perfect ground, ball, and car control. Those 3 things, and I'll be practicing them in ones mostly, but ones and twos. So that's the plan for the 366 days from the 6th of January next year until the 5th of January the following year. I want to do it for a year because I really want to break habits and form new habits, and you can't do that in a week or a day. It's got to be over a long period of time. So that's the plan. All right, Beastbound, hello and welcome. So I'm going to give you my spiel, Beastbound, and we've chatted a bit off stream, but I'm going to give you my spiel, and then it's over to you. Then I'm in your hands, and you take it from there. So okay, so I've actually got a little bit of I've made some notes, and these are just fairly random. So Beastbound, I have mentioned to you, and my stream know this quite well. My hero in terms of playstyle is Flakes. And not because he can get to SSL without mechanics. For me, this isn't about being able to do that without mechanics or trying to avoid doing mechanics. Clearly, that he is able to do what he does. He is so clever and so smart at the game. That's what I want to emulate. But his car, ground, ball control is so good. It allows him to just play so freely. In terms of what he wants to do on the pitch. So that's what I want to emulate. And so these are the areas I struggle. Before we even get to fancy shit like aerials and all of that sort of thing, one of my biggest issues is judgment on my opponents. Like, am I going to be first to the ball? Am I going to get beat to the ball? And so often I will rush for a challenge and get beaten, and beaten handsomely. And I really, really struggle with that. And things like overcommitting, committing where I want to commit far, far less. Committing is getting me into a lot of trouble. And then I had questions, and we'll get to these questions on whether I should change up my binds to help break muscle memory and retrain it. But yeah, so I mean, for me, what I'm looking for is, I guess, drills. The drills I can do, that I can grind to improve car, ball, and ground control as a start, and then we can graduate to the aerial stuff. But those 3 things I want to be really good at that. So that's my spiel, and now over to you.
Okay, yeah, so first of all, I mean, I like this. I also coach Flakes, so that makes it a lot easier for me, or a lot more fun for me. When you say car, ball, and ground control, I hear like an order in these as well. And it's not the order they're in. I hear car, ground, ball control.
Okay.
And for me, that is 1, 2, 3 in that order.
Right.
Because there's absolutely no way you're controlling the ball if you can't control your car. Let's just put it out there. On the ground is easy enough, and then, like you said, you can take the air alongside. So for me, there is steps in that, and I have done this with people that have started with the game before, but it's going to be a very interesting challenge to do this with someone who's been playing for as long as you have.
Yes, and yeah, and I think the thing that I'm looking to address is, I was saying on stream, and I don't know if you caught that or not, is I played this game for 4 years with no instruction, with no, just having fun. I didn't care. I just wanted to go out there and do my thing. And then I made the mistake of starting to care. But by that time, I think there are so many bad habits baked in that I don't even know that I have them, which is why I kind of want to strip it all back.
No, and I really respect that. I think for one, that's first of all, very interesting, like, experiment, but 2, it could actually really, really, like, work out. one of the things that you mentioned as well, judging plays, stuff like that. This
Yes.
is something you learn with experience. But if it turns out there's something fundamentally wrong, but you have got the experience with reads, if you change the fundamentals, you'll see that all of a sudden everything kind of clicks into place. So I respect the desire, first of all, to say, all right, let's actually set this up. Let's get this rolling. So I'm here for it. Well, for today, I mean, last thing you mentioned like changing up binds to shake up muscle memory.
Yeah.
I think that's a good tool to use. I don't think we necessarily have to change too many things in the long run. It could be something like, uh, for aerials, we're going to briefly make you press other buttons so that you think of what you're doing in the air, like what button you're specifically
Yes.
like pressing to what effect, more than it is when you're just, well, I know what boost is, so I'm just pressing boost all the way through. But in the long run, I'm not too necessarily worried about changing up binds in the long run. But
Okay,
we'll see
fine.
what we can use there.
Yeah.
But that's all in the future.
Okay, cool.
But for now, we've got the assessment, right?
Yes, absolutely. So as I said, I've given you my long sad story, and now it's over to you.
So I think that if we just look for starters at the first three, we're going to start January 5th, it was?
Correct. January 5th, 6th, yeah. So that's when I'm going to kind of lock in and the daily grind or the whatever grind begins, yes.
So for me, for starters, I think the car one is a very interesting one. For me,
Okay.
that is the fundamentals. That's where everything starts. And I just want to see what your control is currently with the car.
Okay.
If there's anything like simple like this, it may just feel too basic. But I want to expand on it more and more. But this for me is level 1. I'm not going to throw you in the deep end, like I said, and then figure out where we go from there.
Yes.
So I'm talking basics.
Okay.
You said fundamentals, you're getting fundamentals as well.
I love it. I'm here for it.
I can see you already, like, just driving around. You're already in the air. It's such a, like, basic thing to do. But can I ask you to just, like, reset the map for now so that the ball is just stationary in the middle? I want you to drive to one of the 6 big boost pads. And for this, like, kind of exercise, I'm going to say the orange side. So you're from the blue side, so
Yes.
you're normally looking towards orange side.
Yes.
So if I tell you to look far right, that is the furthest away right boost.
That one down
I
there.
want you to, by just using power slide, steering, and driving, can
Yeah.
you in one turn, like, just drive around the field, but whenever I call out a boost, turn as quickly as you can directly to one without having to adjust afterwards.
Okay, got you.
Yep.
Yep.
So just drive, no boost, but just drive around, and then I'm going to say back left.
Oh, back left, sorry. No, I got to get my left and right sorted. Okay, cool.
So that's fine. So
Yeah.
back left is the
Oh, that
left
that
blue
was
one.
right.
Yeah, you're
okay,
right. You're right.
I was correct. Okay, my bad. Let's go.
So the idea is you steer towards it and then you drive in a straight line. You don't have to adjust.
Yes, got you.
So let's go mid left. And you can see that it's not exactly. You may have missed that one.
Yes.
So that already is to me like, all right, it's close. It's not like very far off.
Yes.
But you can see that even steering, it's not flawless immediately.
Yes.
Let's go. I have to adjust again. Back right.
Back right is there.
That's the one.
Okay, yeah.
Mid right.
Mid right. Oh God. Okay.
Far left.
Oh shit. Okay, the adjustment was automatic, but yeah, I'm very skewed.
That's okay. That's okay.
Yeah.
So, one of the things that's happening is whenever you're power sliding,
Yeah.
you are over power sliding. So, you're using power slides to like start a drift, but it's like you're playing Mario Kart. You're just setting in the drift, and then afterwards you're readjusting, which isn't
Okay.
bad, but that is obviously costing you a little bit of speed. So if I ask you to do this kind of same thing with that speed, and just drive from boost to boost, you'll probably find that you're adjusting a lot more. So
Okay.
now, I'm not going to call them out, but just drive, like just keep boosting through it. Just boost all the way through. Yeah, just boost the entire time.
Okay.
And if you steer now, you can see there's a lot of like smaller adjustments whenever you go, like just in your head, doesn't matter where you're going, but like just you're going to see the smaller adjustments, like tick, tick, tick. tick,
Yes,
tick, tick, instead
yes.
of one swift movement. That, for example, is an example of having not mastered steering. It sounds stupid,
Wow. No,
but
no,
that
it
just
sounds
straight up
fucking
means that, like,
sounds amazing. And honestly, this is already a revelation to me. It's fantastic.
well, can you put it in perspective? If you were driving a car and you'd have to adjust twice every time you're doing a turn, how scary would that be?
Yes.
But now you're allowed to fly in this car.
Yes. Oh my god.
So so something like this is already a good exercise, and this is very, very, very cool. And even like most professionals aren't very fluent with this. It's very fun to look, for example, whenever the ball gets involved. They're very good at understanding like what the ball is going to do and that kind of behavior. But when it just comes down to controlling your car in one swift motion, it's very hard to time it exactly right so that you're chaining those boots together. Boost together. So for one, like this is just like, and this is the very basics of the basics, but this is one that's already interesting.
No, I'm
And one of these, and who was I watching the other day? There was a professional player that did, I think it was Squishy. I don't even know, but I think it was Squishy. There was a challenge opportunity where just in twos, in a very fast-paced professional level game, Squishy did an incredible turn that not only got himself the boost, so he steered like into the boost, but then also in that same turn, without having to adjust afterwards, was able to go for the ball. So at some point you get to a level of control with just the car, because this was no ball yet, where you can first go through the boost and then also land in the direction that you need to go to then chain after the ball. And it's such an undervalued skin where people are so eager to learn flip resets, but
yes.
no one cares enough to get the boost right. That when people get into games and they're missing boost, like myself, I can't lie, I miss boost all the time. They're like wondering why they can't do things in game. And this is one of those like, why can I do things when I have 100 boost or infinite boost, but in game I'm never quite able to do so. So steering, clear cuts, and power slide duration, these are just small adjustments.
Yes.
Realistically, the exercise for this, for example, is going to be something along the lines of, this is what we're looking at right now. Like this is not something that's going to take a couple of months. This is going to be like a week or two, realistically, because it's basic. It's going to get very boring real quick. If you like warm up, and you start by just saying, all right, I want to warm up this element, that's going to help. You're going to, like, every time you load the game, first 5 minutes, straight up, you're just going to steer towards boost. And you can call it out in your head. You said you had someone that was going to help you out, like a moderator or someone, like a friend. If you can just go, all right, I'm going to go back right, front left, mid left, back right, and you can actually just steer once, go, steer once, go. That is a very, very high confident level of, all right, we're fine. And I can see you practicing it right now. You're already getting cleaner with it.
Yes.
Some terms are bigger than others, but you're getting a lot closer than you were initially, when you were just like overturning. So you can see you're kind of like readjusting, and now it's a little bit more, now it's a little bit less. You're going to start finding that sweet spot.
Yes.
Obviously, this is like, this is like just boost, but what you're going to do afterwards, and that's like the kind of the test, is you're going to start by saying, I just want to turn to the boost. But then the second is you're going to drive through a boost, and then when you're over the boost, turn to the ball.
Ah, got you.
So that the turn itself is A, timed, because timing on turning can be important, but B, measured. Because now the objective is to get the boost and then get to the ball as quick as possible. And once you get to that point, like that's tutorial level over. I think there's in the actual physical tutorial, there is a level where you're meant to be doing a power slide. That's the only time that you actually measure and hold a power slide ever in the game. No one actually does like a full 180-degree power slide unless you're doing like 360s or spinning or making donuts or, but it is good to see if you can both time and aim your corner. That is the two levels of steering, and then we are talking steering stuff. realistically, you want to have this to a point. Like, if you are looking to get into the top 1%, something like this is the core basics. You want to have this, not just like you don't want to just understand. You want to control this. This is something you want mastered. And it's always shocking to me, like how little people, like I've had people that like literally SSLs that had to do like 3, 4, 5 adjustments before they like got a boost, including but not limited to myself, by the way. Like I'm completely at fault here as well.
Yes.
So if you say, do you do this drill with ball cam on or off? First, you do it with ball cam on, because you want to check if you have to readjust. You do the turn, and if you see the boost is straight ahead of you, and you're actually, you've done it, you're fine. But you want to also understand, which is core knowledge of the field, you want to understand where the boost is.
Yes.
That means initially big pads, but at a certain level, I'm fairly convinced most people will be able to draw where the pads are. Luckily, there is no, difference in these pads in fields. But like, so you want to be able to like convincingly combine this, and this is an interesting question, because if you're looking at something like these fundamentals, it's not just important when you're doing this in practice. You want to have this translated to your games. You want to get this to the level where you're comfortable with, like, when you're doing, like, steering is not something you just do when you pick up boost. It's something you do when you're controlling the ball. It's something you do when you're just navigating around the field, if you have to time certain elements. So these fundamentals now affect the in-depth elements that come down the road, and that's the interesting part of this kind of challenge. Is here we have Greybeard, who's been playing this game since before half of the RLCS players right now are born, and we're going to still see improvement by looking at tutorial level stuff. That's good.
Absolutely.
Direction in order. But for the first 2 weeks, I think the order in practice is getting comfortable with just steering. That means car cam on and exclusively driving boost to boost to boost to boost, with and without power sliding, to where you can get it so consistent that you're almost not making any mistakes. And I'm talking like you do one turn, one adjustment is max. If you have to do more than one adjustment, at that point you're like, all right, well that was not great.
A fail,
if you can chain, if you can chain 10 together without adjustments, that's really, really good.
Okay.
Then you want to kind of upgrade it by saying, I want to do this exclusively with ball cam on. So you're now just looking at the ball, and you want to see if you can drive through the boost, know where they are, plus steer without having to adjust too many times.
Okay. Sure.
That will make you just and this is also something that's going to help you with picking up boost. It's going to help you in the long run. So that's going to help. And again, that with and without power slide.
Sure, that's interesting. That's okay. Oh, that wasn't too bad.
And if you're talking like just like fundamentals, this is for me one that will take like a week and a half, and then you should be really good at this.
Okay.
We're not just going to do this one exercise, because it's going to be a very boring week and a half if you're just driving through boost in free play.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, no. But like this is so this like if you're saying, all right, we get on every time you get on 5 minutes of this, because that's like it gets very boring. I'll be honest, we don't want to make the game not fun. But that is one. So that should give you a very, very considerable boost in your confidence, first of all, with steering in general.
Okay, great.
Then I think you can also include this with the kind of the boost of things. The second thing for me about car control is kind of not as basic, but it's something that I just want people to be like better at. Like, the basic controls are, up, down, left, right. So forwards, backwards, left, right. I think if we're talking car control, however, you are looking at the air very quickly. Can you control in the air?
Okay.
Do you think that's too early? For me, car control is just exclusively about how you control your car, how you're able to control your car.
Perfect.
I think steering and stuff is going to be basic enough. But we also want to bring this to the air. And for aerial car control, which is a large part of Rocket League, I just want to see your hover. No.
Like this?
I just want to see you hover above a place and see if you can hold to a position. That for me is the interesting one. Once like you're able to get yourself still, and like yes, like this, but still you're doing small adjustments. It's
Yes.
left, right. You can see you're like, all right, we're still a little bit to left, still a little bit to right. We want to limit these first of all. And then what we want to do is we want to be able to do rotations. Not air rolls. I'm talking one rotation of any kind of movement to understand what the movement is, what it does. So without doing an air roll, can you instead do a sideways roll?
What do you mean?
Go up a little bit further and don't air roll. Just hold the the stick to the right so that you're steering
Oh, right.
right.
Oh, I see. Okay.
And essentially do like a 360 or how do you call it? But you want to be able to kind of measure how long you have to hold it to do a complete 360 and recover into hover.
Sorry, 360 left to right or up and down?
No, all the way around.
Like this?
You're just spinning your car. Yeah.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Okay. So, is
So
this...
obviously we're building this towards control. And the interesting thing for me here again is more about like timing or and momentum. Can you do a exact 360? You know how much you can hold this. Like with steering, you can make small adjustments, and that won't be like bad.
Are you
but
talking?
Can you do a
are
full
you,
360?
Are you
right?
talking about that? Is that what you're talking about? That 360.
1 second delay. Yes. And then control this one. But like you can see that you're recovering more to the right.
Right.
So when you're doing like a full
I
rotation
see
or
what
something
you're
like this, you're again slightly oversteering.
Okay, I see what you're
You
saying.
want to get this precise, and it doesn't have to be 100% precise, but
Oh,
for
there we
these
go.
kind of movements. Yeah,
Okay.
well, that was really nice. That was a really nice. Obviously, boosting through, you're going to see some movement, but the fact that you're like specifically looking into like getting these kind of controls down to like an absolute like mastery of it means that later when you do get the ball involved, you don't have to worry about what I call blackout moments,
Yes.
especially in the air or whenever you're controlling your car. People have like experienced a moment where you're unable to control your car in a certain direction, and that can be through just one movement, more movements, but you want to build these.
And it's so amazing. And it's actually... listen, this is another revelation moment. It's fantastic.
I'm happy to hear, I'm happy to hear.
'Cause- yeah.
Sorry, go on.
No, because you're realizing you're actually leaving the stick a lot earlier than I would have thought.
Yeah, I mean, you build momentum on this, and it's weird because you build this momentum, but it also means you understand what happens if you just like hold to the right. You're not immediately stopping, so you have to stop a little bit earlier or readjust afterwards.
Yes.
And at a certain point, especially when you're controlling, you'll be readjusting the entire time. The small adjustments you made when in the air, they make a lot of sense. You don't
Yes.
want to have to like just like rely on a full 360 to do any kind of momentum. But if you're using different axles like these, if once the air rolling starts into it, you want to be able to do a clean air roll, or at least hold it and understand what the motion is. And by not just like understanding what it does, because everyone understands what it does, right?
Yes.
I can look at the screen, I can say, yeah, I mean, I know what it does. And all right, this was, 0.7 seconds. I have to do 0.72 seconds and there'll be a complete rotation. But muscle memory works in a way that the combination of like feeling your hands do something in this case with a controller or a keyboard and mouse, however you play it, and seeing it visually will give you the desired effect. And if you don't practice that, if you've never practiced that kind of visual confirmation of what you're doing being right is a question mark. And from like understanding this movement, seeing that you can do this movement, and then having practiced this movement, you build confidence. And that confidence is just my head knows what it's doing. Muscle memory can take over. I am now just in control of the practice I've done. And at that point, you're talking about habits. You've practiced habits, and now you're letting those habits kind of pay, dividends.
Yes.
Pay out. And that's the interesting part for these. You're not going to immediately start getting better at the game if you can pick up the boost more cleanly or if you're making less adjustments, but it's going to start adding on. And at some point, you're confident in your ability to pick up the boost. You're confident in your ability to make smaller adjustments if you have to, but realistically, you can stick to the one movement. You understand the movement you're doing, and it now is a confident game. You have
Yes.
more boost. You feel better. You want to go quicker. And well, you mentioned Flakes. Flakes is a smart, efficient, without mechanics. I don't completely agree with without mechanics, but it's different mechanics. But it is because he knows what he's doing, what he's trying to achieve, that he's so good at what he does.
Absolutely. No. To be able to do what he does in that series, and I know, and I think he communicates a very clear thing with that. But I'm not fooled. It's only possible to do what he does there when you are very good at controlling all the aspects of your game.
I mean, I think for me to even look at mechanics and say I want to be better at mechanics. If you want to use mechanics, understanding the game is a prerequisite.
No. Sorry. Again. For me, I want to be mechanical. I want to do ceiling shots. I want to do flip resets. I want to musty. I'm not gonna get anywhere fucking near it the way I am right now. That's why I want to be good at these very base, because I am very confident that if I know how to control my car, all these things you're talking about, those advanced mechanics become exponentially easier to master. Yeah, that's all. Right now, I can't do a ceiling shot. I can't do a flip reset, and I know it's because I'm struggling with my car. I can't get my car in the right place.
And that's and I mean that's fair. And for us to work towards that, we are doing these. So I really like that, and I really appreciate that. So that's it.
So in my mind, and as you say, the basics you're giving me now, I can probably master relatively quickly. And obviously, you and I will be conversing fairly regularly in terms of progress. And it's like, okay, I've now got the steering into the boosting. I've got that pretty much down. I need a step up drill from that, and so we'll just add those as we need to.
Yeah, 100%. Okay. This is all year. This is the first assessment. This is what we're looking at right now. I want to see this, and then we're going to start looking at the next step. And I'm not just going to give you one thing. It'll be 3 to 5 things at any given time. It's going to start with fundamentals, like the steering one. But at some point, your warm-up will already be more than, what most people do in the warm-up. You're just going to do a 20-minute warm-up, and it's going to be helping you with certain elements again.
Yes.
But that's something we'll have to readjust as we go. I'm looking at what do I see right now, what's going to help you. This is the steering one, easy enough. That's the big start. But from there, we're going to just look into games. All right, what's happening in your games? If you play a game, where are we not seeing confidence? Where are we not seeing efficient use of this? Can we, you could have potentially set this up here, but you're not recognizing it. So we're talking the game sense side of things, but we're also going to look into how you use what you are doing. And that's the interesting one.
Okay.
The third one for me, which is an interesting one, is different orientations. So if you're looking at one more exercise, for me, I'm looking at 3 car control related exercises for the first week.
Okay.
Because we got to get those out of the way.
Okay.
So we have had steering, we've had hovering and one rotation to understand again how timing and adjusting works in the air. The last one is the various orientations you can be in. So your car can be upside down, your car can be sideways on, and I want to kind of see if you can do this at a set pace. And for this, we're going to actually use a pretty old exercise that I think is still undervalued. We're going to use the inside of the goal when out.
Go ahead.
Yeah, from within the goal, like you already are. Initially, if I ask you to just fly and hit the crossbar on the other side, very, very possible. No arrows, just steering, but you're just going to hit the crossbar. This is not an issue. You can hit the crossbar, there you go, head-on collision, lovely stuff. Now, I want you to do the same thing, but I want you to go from the ceiling of the goal. So, essentially a squishy save. You don't get to aerial, so you're flying upside down, and the same aim. There you go. Okay, so this is already very clean. Can you do it from the side?
Oh, struggle.
There it is. And there's your blackout moment. All right, so it seems like something stupid, but every time you do an arrow in the air, you've come through this orientation, and the fact that you're not able to control without having to adjust that situation means that there is benefits to be gained there. If you're looking to get a clean bit of control here, this is like something to look at. And initially, with your orientation being like this, one of the things you can see is that you kind of like gravitate towards like going upside down but to the side. Look at how the car. All right, yeah. So look at how the car is driving, and for me, no, it's for yourself. Because if you look at and this is for you as well, Chad. If you look at you doing this, what happens is initially you can start seeing that there is no. You struggle with keeping the car up. You're actually just going sideways, and this is like something that you can do when you're like oriented sideways, by. Well, depending on where you're going, aiming left or right. The same movement that you've just done that 360 of. If your car is facing like this, going to the left means you're going up.
Yes.
And that kind of orientation switch is one of the two that's not being practiced much at all.
Yes.
But if you understand how this one works, the left and right, you also understand what the rotation does, like an arrow, which is going to be the one after. Then you can, as quickly as possible, go to a situation where you can control again. So even if you do happen to be in a situation where you're not in control, you can go to one where you're controlling again. And at that point, it's recognition, practice, repetition, and then it pays off. It already gets better with like 4 or 5 tries, not because you understand how the game works, but do you see how like?
Yes.
Feel free to like practice this as well, or chat for anyone in chat. Stuff like this is you're going to struggle a couple of times, even if you're a very good player. First couple of times, if you haven't done this in a while, it's going to be like, oh yeah, wait, how do I do this? And then if you start doing something you're comfortable with, like an arrow, do it again, but add 1 arrow, please, Mr. Greybeard.
Add 1 arrow.
Like,
what?
Yeah, not like a full arrow, but like feel free to arrow to a position where you feel comfortable.
Oh, right. I tell you, do you know what's interesting? Oh my God, the amount of thinking, I mean, all my mental power is going. So
the sideways flying.
Left is down, right is up. What? Where's left?
I get it. Did I ever show you my beautiful graph of how process works? For starters, for this one, like you're looking at where you are now. So the what we are doing now, top left red one, I guess, or the middle left red one, is where we're starting.
Yes.
What we're doing right now is we're setting an analysis and we're making a goal, and that is just for us to do these kind of exercises so that you can work on it. But you can see that now that I'm setting these goals and doing the analysis, you're starting to focus on something.
Yes.
And this is going to lead you to being worse at everything you're not focused on. So because you're so focused on this one orientation in your car, like, oh, I'm trying to fly sideways, so which way is left? You have to think about it. You're also unable to then do an arrow or do something like this. And by practicing through this and getting your confidence up in this one element, you have to now no longer think about it. But like by having these like steps that you're working on, you add something new to the toolbox. I always like the toolbox analogy. This is you acquiring a new tool, and once you've added this into it, you can kind of start combining it again.
Yes.
And for most people, even if you're not aware of this, if you've played Rocket League enough, you have one of these click sessions at some point. A session where you're you're just hitting stuff. You're like,
yes.
Sometimes not even aware, but like it's because you're not focused on things, because you're just kind of like playing your game, you're finding the pace, the timing makes sense, everything's just hitting. You go up 120 mmR or something like that, and that's kind of what I want to go through this process with you as much as possible, because the more we can do this, the more we can add tools and add them to your belt. It may sound like something basic, but that sideways orientation you pretty much go through whenever you go for a flip reset. Because at some point between upright and upside down, when you're catching the ball normally, you are sideways.
Yes.
And the fact that you're not very convinced about this part, which is essential to the setup, means that in the long run you will want to get this, back into the mixer. And that's what I'm saying. Like a flip reset may seem advanced if you take all the steps and you really make them, you know, basic.
Yes.
There's so many steps. You got to be able to control the ball. You got to get a good touch up. You want to get your car right under it. You then want to be able to use the ball. But realistically, it means you're looking at, I want to know what my car is doing, and I want to know what the ball is doing. And if I combine those two, that's 3/4 of the way there. Then it's just practice. So the understanding of a flip reset is realistically basic, whereas the execution of one, especially a considerable amount, or like a triple reset, like, is hard but not impossible.
Yes.
And that I don't think that's something unrealistic by any means.
Absolutely. Okay.
I think, and for me, if we're looking at like the things you mentioned, you had car control, ground control, ball control.
Yes.
On that list. For me, this is a lot about car control still. This first couple of weeks, I think 2 weeks, I think we're going to like do the best if we're using 2 weeks increments, because sometimes you have a bad week, sometimes a bad couple of days. So 2 weeks is usually safe, and obviously I can be there earlier, I can be there later. That's
Yes.
But the 2 weeks increment is going to help you. If we take these three elements, so the steering for core foundations and then aerial control, one complete rotation, as well as various other orientations and comfort as a goal for warm-up, you can do 50 minutes of warm-up and go through all three of these.
Okay. That makes sense. So I think then, okay, so we've got our first week or two of drills and so on to get done. And then my next question is, and I don't know if it's too early for this, because I want to, obviously I'm still going to play ranked. I want to play a lot more ones, because I think ones gives me the opportunity to be on my own to work on things that I've been practicing, if that makes sense.
100%.
So my thought is, okay, we do 20 minutes or 30 minutes or whatever, some amount of time working on the drills. Then I want to get into playing ones and focusing on the elements that I'm training. So not so much, obviously I don't want to lose, I want to try and win, but I want the focus of those games to be learning and the elements that I'm specifically training. When I go, okay, great, like those click moments, okay, I can power slide for my boost and the ball and all of that. I'm doing that very well. Now I've got to, now we're stepping it up. So that's kind of my plan, to do the drills in training in conjunction with actually playing in ranked 2s and 1s. I'll probably do them to get, I don't know what your thoughts are. Maybe like search 2s and 1s and play whatever comes up. I don't know what your thoughts are on that.
I don't hate that. I think those two do often kind of like change perspective on the game a little bit. I think in general, like, it's very good to have something you're working on for yourself individually. So these practices I've got right now, right? You're working on your car control, you're working on getting the right touch of the wall. It's also something that you want to do in game, and it's a different kind of purpose or a different kind of goal that you're setting. And that's something that, I'll be honest, that we just probably will have to like dive into a replay for and look at what's going wrong in the replay. That can be another kind of assessment. I don't think that's the most interesting one. I'd say just start playing. And then see what happens, because then we set the base level, when the challenge starts.
Okay, great.
And then you can say, all right, well, we've played 10 games of ones. Let's look at a couple of them. We've lost half of these. 2 of them we got swept. It was 7-0, and I left afterwards because it was just no fun. Yes. 3 of them I've won similar fashion. You scored 5 or you scored 3 kickoff goals and someone just left. It happens. 3, however, were very close. 1 was a win where I just kind of missed all my shots, but the other ones were interesting to look at. I've won 1 and lost 2. What happened in those? Let's look at those replays and see, all right, you know what? We can see in 3 replays, X element is happening or it's not happening, and we want to work on this. And then you can set yourself a goal in-game, a goal for your car control, and a goal for your initial setup. And at that point, you've got 3 things to work on at any given time. So regardless of whether you're in game, you're practicing just in free play, you will have something to work on, and you can kind of switch between those as well.
Okay, great. Okay, good. Are you comfortable that we've got to start there, Beast? Should I
I'm
can
very
start?
happy with what we got.
Excellent. Well, I'm very very excited about this because that's always been my issue is that one of two things happen. I either get bored or I get frustrated, and then I'm like, fuck this. I'm just going to go and play, and that's the way I've operated for well, the 4 years that I've been trying to get better, and I want to stop that. I want to work my way through the frustration of it. Like, why do I constantly fail at it? And as you say, break it down into its parts. And I think there's going to be a lot of messages to you on Discord, like, I'm struggling with this. I cannot figure it out. And then I'll probably need you to help me sort of break it down into its parts and what I should be practicing.
100%. And that's easy enough. I'll be there for the messages. I'll be there for the explanation where need be. I think the frustration you mentioned, you can also use this the other way around. I'm not going to lock you in free play for like hours on end.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Play a bit of free play some games, and then when the inevitable frustration with the game comes, go back to free play, because you can use it both ways.
Yes.
If you know how to use it, it's yeah.
Yeah, that's great.
So that's all. That's something that I'm going to find out as well, and that's different for everyone. So I do want to preface it by saying, if you follow along, which I only applaud, and should be interesting, then it is very personal. Obviously, I'm looking at something I see Greybit doing. It will help you if you do it all, but
yes,
be careful. Coaching is best done like personal, not just generic advice.
Absolutely. All right, fabulous. Okay, well, Beastbound, as always, thank you very much for your time, and sorry to make you rush through whatever you were doing here to get you for the early start.
You're all good.
And thanks for chat, for hanging, and I hope it was interesting for you guys as well, and I hope you'll join me for the journey, and we'll see where we go, and we'll see if we can get those double and triple flip resets by the end of the year challenge. But that's going to wrap it up. But from me, Greybeard, and Coach Beastbound, and to all the people in chat, thank you very much. Until the next time, peace.